Hello guys, welcome back to the beastie room. I don't know what she's thinking now, I really don't know. Oh dear. What are you doing? Welcome. Crocs.
Pink ones.
As you might have seen, the camera lady got a pair of pink Crocs for her birthday and she's rather proud of them. Oh my god.
Sorry guys.
Right. Jesus wept. Okay, right then. Welcome back to the beastie room. Are we all in the room now?
Yes.
Good. Right. We've got a treat for you today, guys. We've got a real nice one. We have got the first successful hatch of spiders in the new room.
Woohoo!
The new room. And that is, in fact, our Psalmopoeus irminia, the Venezuelan sun tiger. And now these are an amazing spider. You've often heard me speak of these before. I really do champion this spider. Not only are they exquisitely good looking, I mean they are jet black with them golden chevrons in their legs and on their toes. They are absolutely fabulous spiders. And to my way of thinking, if you're at the intermediate level, like advanced beginner, intermediate sort of level, in that sort of area, which basically means you've got your general husbandry down to a bit of a pat now, you know what you're at, you can now look at some slightly more demanding spiders. And that's where these guys fall into it. I still class them as a real good beginner arboreal spider because they have got a little bit of attitude. They have got some speed, but generally speaking, if you're down to, you know, you've got yourself sorted out and organised, these guys shouldn't give you too much trouble. And when it comes to breeding, what a fabulous spider to start off your breeding program, to learn how to breed spiders. These guys really are quite good. They're not that difficult. Females can be a little bit hit and miss with the males. Sometimes they can be keen to eat him. Other times they can, they're quite happy just to let him wander off. So get everything right, and they really are a simple spider. So we have allowed our female here to hatch the egg sac herself. So it's hatched down behind that cork bark. Now you'll remember now, seeing this is her enclosure. We put a half round cork bark inside up against the glass. And then if I spin this around, you'll see we put one of our black backing boards on the back. This gives her security, which means if I do it, we can take the backing board off and you'll see she doesn't web it up too heavily. Now some of them do, but most of them don't. We can see in there. So then what we can do when we're working away and we're checking, we can use our torch and we can see inside there and we can see what's going on.
You can see her toes there.
Yeah, you can see them?
Mm-hmm.
So we can see whether she's got an egg sac, or in this occasion we can see whether that egg sac has hatched out. And this has gone full term. So we've actually got slings in there now. So this comes to another point in the breeding that we often get asked about with our spiders. If we allow them to hatch inside the tank, when's the time? When do we take them out? Do we take them out as eggs with legs? Because often you've seen us when we pull a sac, we often get eggs with legs. And this is because we've pulled it prior to that actual hatch date, which means they are still underdeveloped. And then we allow them to develop in a pot in our nursery. When we do it like this, we allow them to hatch, we get eggs with legs, then we leave them with her. She's not going to do anything with them. She's going to look after them at that stage. This is often the stage where our female will come out and take a drink, or maybe even catch a cricket or something if she's hungry. So we can do all these things. Then what we do is we just keep an eye. So we would have had a look on here. I would have seen them as eggs with legs when they first hatch out. I then don't touch them for another week. I'll go back in a week's time and see how they've developed. Normally within that week, they've grown substantially and they're starting to change colour. So then we give them another week. go back, have another look. It's important that they get this peace and quiet in between. We don't want to be looking at them every day. Once a week is more than enough. By the time we go back after week 2, maybe week 3, we've normally got slings.
Fluffy jackets.
Fluffy jackets, yeah. They've gone from them sort of bright, shiny egg with legs to now they are furry little spiders. And this is the time now that we class them as actual slings. So at this stage, they now start separating. And quite often, with many spiders, they will start to vacate the nursery home and start moving out. With the irminia, they're quite happy to stay as a group. These have been slings now for, must be 2 weeks, and they haven't left the safety of behind that bark. Now what this does mean now is when we crack into this in a minute, these are going to be very lively little slings. They are going to be fit to run around everywhere, and they won't hang about. They'll be pretty quick. So what we're going to do, we are going to take this stick out and then we're going to pull this bark back and we're going to catch our female. We want to get her out of the way. So she is our priority. We want to catch her in a catch cup, put her somewhere safe. The last thing you want to be doing is trying to catch these with your adult female still in there, because she will try and defend them and she will, given half a chance, give you a nip. So we don't want that. So what we're going to do, we are going to catch her and get her out of the way. Safer for her, safer for you. So we're going to take this stick out. Now another thing worth mentioning, have a look in this enclosure. It's looking pretty drab, isn't it? This is because I don't tend to, once I know I've got an egg sac, I don't tend to spray them down. I tend to leave them alone, just peace and quiet. The egg sac is more important than the moss or maybe a plant that I add in there. Now some of them I can get some water in, others, you know, I just don't bother. This is one of the ones where I haven't bothered, and it's very evident when you look at the state of the glass is dirty, the moss is dying off. This will grow back to some extent, but it's seen better days. But I'd rather get a viable egg sac than worry about a bit of moss. Right then, so what we're going to do, we're going to get this bit of wood now. Always be careful when you do this, because she may well come tearing out, and the first thing she's going to meet is my hand. So then we're going to have a little look here. I'm going to pull this away nice and gently. You notice how, look, all this web is coming away. This is attached to the bit of bark that I'm pulling out. So this will in actual fact envelope everything. See how it's moving here? Hopefully the camera's picking that up. You see how it's coming out? There you go. Just the top holding it on now. Here she comes.
See if I can look down so they can see how that's better. We can.
Yeah.
Not great, but they can see how that tube's come away from the glass.
What I can do is take this off the Lazy Susan, maybe. No, drop it an inch.
No, you're all right.
Right.
I'll just come at the side here. We can see it's come away.
Right. So then, we have got everybody in this cocoon, and I mean everybody. And what we could do, I wonder if we could pick the whole thing up. There we go. Right, where she's wet that up so beautifully,
See there as well, there's nothing.
we've managed to pick the whole thing out in one lump. So what we're going to do now, which is going to make it much easier, we're going to put our tray on the desk, and we're going to pick this up out of here like so. Look at that. We have got the whole spider home is inside that web. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So there is no spiderlings inside our tank.
I'll just turn this around, Dave. No, with the glass door open, just so we can see. There's no.
So there is no spiderlings inside the tank. We've managed to keep them all inside this web. Now, if you imagine, we've got the bark on the other side. This was the back up against the glass. And if we look at the very, very bottom, look at that. That's the webbing on the floor. Yeah, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So this is in fact a sealed unit inside here of web. And all of our spiderlings are in there. There's our female, just there. You can see her toes. I'm not going to touch it because she will burst through that bit of web and have my finger. So we're not going to do that. So what we're going to do now, I'm right-handed, so I have to work this way round.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I am going to find a little something here. Well, there goes a spiderling. Look at how quick he was.
I didn't see.
No, he was too quick.
You teasing me?
No. Right. Now the good thing about having them on the tray is should we get any runners outside of the tray, we should pick them up relatively quickly and easily.
No, out and over.
Out and over.
Out and over. Experience.
I reckon maybe a bit of soil in the bottom of that tray might have been a good idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Let's do that. We'll do that. You see, this is one of the things that we always say about being organised, getting everything ready.
Weren't expecting that though, were we?
Try and cover all aspects, and quite often, as you go along, things develop. So this is a little trick that's really worth knowing. I'm going to pick up this. Always, you see how she's moving. Always be very, very careful when you're playing around with these spiders. Keep her flat like that, she'll be relatively happy. Right, here's a little trick. We've got some soil on our tray. We're going to sprinkle this about like this. Now the idea is...
There's a bit of texture in there because they'll run in it, wouldn't they?
That's it. Camera lady's got it.
We're gonna slings for good. That's
we're gonna put our bit of soil on, and then we're gonna put this round like this.
Move Lazy Susan on the floor.
And we're gonna put this way. And should our slings run out onto the tray, they will find the soil, and it's full of little dips and divots. They will try and hide in there. They'll think they're invisible.
We hope.
Yeah, that's the plan. Don't always work, but that is the plan. Right then, I've got my catch cup. What we've got to do now is try and catch this girl. So, what we're going to do...
Would you, because you've got her up like that, try and transfer her back into the enclosure?
No, we're not going to put her back in the enclosure. We're going to put her in the catch cup because this piece of wood has got to go back in there.
Right.
So, we need her out of the way. So, what we're going to do... Right, come in and watch this. Can you see? I'll turn this around like that.
Finish with Lazy Sue for a bit.
Not really.
There we go.
Right, let's get that out of the way. Right, are you ready now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you happy now?
Yeah.
You sorted? Right. So what we're going to do, we've got our catch cup. We're going to pull this webbing back here. And there is our irminia. See her in there?
Right, I'll go and have a little look before you, just so we can get our eyes in.
I was hoping you was having a little look.
Yeah,
there she is.
We've got her now. So
as you can see, she's on her back. Now be very careful when you're doing this because she can run up that web and she can run straight up this paintbrush. So we're just going to pull it back very gently. There she goes. We're just opening it up. Now she's in this threat display because obviously she's in her home with all her babies.
She's just been laid down as well, hasn't she?
Yeah. You can see all them babies underneath her. Can you see them down in there?
You've got a torch. I can see movement, but...
Come around this way. See all them babies in there?
Yeah, look.
There's a couple up the top. But look at all of them underneath her. So when I move this stuff, she will move. And we should, in theory, see. There we go, look at them. Yeah? Yeah. Look at all of them. And you see how they're lovely, lovely big babies. This is one of the benefits of letting them stay with her for them extra couple of weeks. Now, many people would worry that they would start eating each other. You have got a number of weeks before they start predating on one another. If we were to leave them in there much longer than they are now, they would start eating each other because they're going to get hungry and they haven't really had any food as such. But as you can see, they're looking absolutely spectacular. These are very strong babies. So what we're going to do now, we are going to try and get her in a catch cup. It's now the wrong way round for me. This is the problem with being right-handed. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to put this down here. There we go. Come on. There we go. See how she's flexing them fangs. What are you going all the way down there for, girl? There we go. Nice and gently, you see. Now, although she wasn't particularly impressed with the idea, you notice how now she's, look, no longer in a threat pose. She's doing really well. She's nice and happy.
Can you show us through the top because the perforations kind of cover her a little?
I'll say she's happy. She's calmer than she was a minute ago.
Yeah, cool.
Right, we'll have a good look at her in a moment. So we'll put her up here out of the way.
Babies.
And there is babies everywhere. So what we're going to do now, we have made up our pots. Now, the nice thing is, in a Braplast, one of these large Braplast tubs, we can get 35 pots per tub, can't we?
Yeah, so
So
5 pots ready.
it's a nice easy way of counting them up. So what we've done is we put our bit of soil in the bottom. So we fill our tub up and then we just press it down gently, just so that this soil here is not solid, but it's just pushed down with a little bit of pressure. And that will help it to stop it from drying out. And we can stop it from drying out. And we will put our slings in here. So these are, what, 1/2 to 2/3 of the way full of soil. And when we get our little spiderling in there, as we're going to do in a second, we'll start with this one here. Here we go. There we are. He's in.
I didn't see that. I don't think you got one really.
He's in.
Oh, that is a lovely sling.
It's a lovely, lovely, big slings.
Let me get focused. Do I just keep going or what?
No, it's because you come in so close. Don't come in.
Oh,
just
I
use
come
your
back.
zoom. Now use your zoom.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. It's because it's picking up on the other bits.
Come to the black for
Oh
me.
no, we'll just get another one, shall we? Oh my god.
Wait.
This is what our birthday does. Right, what we're going to do, we're going to go for these ones over here. So if you sort of go back a bit and use your zoom,
Okay.
that actually gives me some room then.
But then
You're just trying to make me look bad. I can see it. I know what you're doing.
We can't see
Right.
your big fat hand.
Yeah, well...
See, you didn't get it. Oh, now you're covering me again.
He's in. Yeah, he's in the pot. See that?
Yeah.
This is going to take some time, guys.
It's not focusing.
Right. Let's just try and catch some up, eh?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, we'd like to get some dinner at some point and stuff like that. What for? You'll see even less. You'll see even less.
Okay. Oh.
What a calamity. Animals and wives, they say, don't they? Right. So that one just jumped in. So be careful when you get them in. Make sure they are actually clear before you snap the lid shut. Can you see that?
Not very well.
Because you don't want to trap their legs inside the lid. So we have to be careful. But look at the size of these guys. I'm going to put our lid down there and then try and get him to look at that straight in. Look at that.
Oh, straight out again.
That's because I was trying to show you.
I was down there.
Oh no, never where you're supposed to be. Right.
Let me get a picture of this one.
You got a picture of that one? Actually, I should get... What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back this bit of webbing because there's a whole host of them hiding under here.
That's right next to the one I'm filming.
Yeah? Do you want to see some more?
Yeah.
Here they are. They are lovely, lovely big slings. Absolutely beautiful. Alright. So let's start catching some up, shall we? Because we're going to be here all night. We're going to try and get one or two in. So believe it or not, when you're actually just working away and trying to flick through them, it's not as bad as you first think. Apart from when you throw them out like that.
Oh, I missed that. I'm in Zoom, so. Come back to that one later, Dave.
Come back to that one later, she says. Right. Where are they? Yes. Believe it or not, once you get into a bit of a rhythm, it isn't actually that bad hooking them out.
We'll come back.
But when you're trying to film them, and camera lady's trying to get a portrait shot of every individual spider that's in here, it can take a long time, guys. It can take a long time. What we're doing now is, notice they're just starting to bust out all over the shop. I'm absolutely super impressed with the size of these guys. They are really, really nice. We just had another one walk out across the desk. There he is. He's underneath the lip. Straight in the pot, you see. So believe it or not, this is the best way to do them. And we can end up, as you've seen here, we can develop some very, very, very nice slings.
Oh.
And go straight in the pot. So the thing is to try and concentrate on the group. If you come around here, you'll see these. Some real
Loads gone underneath the bark.
There's some real brutes in here. I mean, look at these.
You can't, because you keep putting your fingers in the way.
That's why you have to go back, you see.
Yeah, but your finger's still on the end of your hand, isn't it?
I know, but if you're not so close, you actually get a picture. Oh, I don't know. So here we are. I think what we're going to do, we are going to whip through these now, catch up as many as we can, so that we can take some pressure off our camera lady's filming skills. And we're going to catch them all up, and we will come back shortly when we've got them all. I think you've got the idea. You've seen how we're going to sort of like get them. And when we got the last few down, we'll be back. We will see you very, very shortly. As you can imagine, and you can only imagine, because that was epic. And what a, oh my God. Yeah. It's obviously been a while since we bred anything in a spider room, because camera lady is, well, I'm not saying she's rusty, but she was squeaking the whole time. So it's like, we've caught them all now, and it was only a small sack. So we ended up with 48 viable slings. We've got 2 running around the desk somewhere. And there is probably going to be a couple inside this cork bark, because this cork bark is full of holes. And once we start cracking into them, they go and try and find anywhere to hide. So there might be 1 or 2 still in here as well, but it's not a big issue. It's not a big problem. We will catch them up as they grow and disappear. They'll move around. It's not uncommon for us to find a small sling inside a tank 6 months later. You know, because quite often the female, she will go back and rebuild her web behind here. This little fella that's hiding in here will eventually come out and he'll dig a little hole. As you've seen in your sling pots, these are an arboreal spider. but they're fossorial when they're tiny slings. They dig down and they hide in the soil. And this is for a number of reasons. One is because it's nice and safe there. Two is because it's often damp. And they like that little bit of dampness in the soil. That's good for them. If they were up in the trees, they would dry out too quick. Whereas an adult can deal with that quite well. A sling can't. They really don't deal with it very well at all. So they often go down and they burrow down in amongst the leaf litter and things like that where it's nice and damp. Now, so we've caught up, was it 48 I said? 48 slings. That's only a small sack. We've had irminias before now where we've had them around about 150, 200 before now. This is a very young female, as you will have seen. She's not particularly big, so hence probably why we had a small sack. There might have been a little bit of predation, as we was mentioning earlier on. There might have been a little bit of predation going on because we have left them longer than necessary. We could have took them out a bit earlier, to be fair. So we're going to put our piece of bark back in there now. To be also as well, it's interesting that the soil in this enclosure is actually quite damp, but that plant seems to have taken a bit of a beating. So I don't think it was down to lack of water. Maybe it weren't a very happy plant. It's interesting to see how some of these plants can do really well in one tank, and the tank next door, which is kept exactly the same, they don't like it. So it's quite interesting. Plants are just as troublesome as spiders. They really are. So we're going to stick our stick back in there, and then we can wedge that in there. That will help hold our piece of bark up. And we're going to put a bit of water in the water bowl. We'll get that filled up. And we'll have a look at this female. So I think much of the reason we ended up with a small sack will be due to the fact that it was a young female.
Slings were really beautiful though, weren't they?
The slings were absolutely stunning. Really, really nice, healthy, strong slings, which is exactly what we want to be seeing. And it's often better to have a smaller sack but really, really healthy slings than a large sack and them all be a little bit on the skinny slack side. Yeah, on the slack side. As you can see, this heat is really getting to us. Now, as actually an interesting point, actually saying about the heat, before we have a look at this female, we're saying about the heat. This last few days here in the UK, we've had it up at 30 degrees, and it has been really, really warm. Now, we get asked lots and lots of questions. The heat for your spiders, if your spiders are still in their normal conditions, now bearing in mind, your spider should not, whatever the temperature, should not be in a position in your home or your garage or your office or wherever you keep your spiders. It should not be in a position where full contact sunlight ever goes on your enclosure. Yeah, even on a winter's day, you don't want this contact on your enclosure, and even more so when the sun is out, because that sun, even if it only takes 20 minutes, half an hour to go around your room, it will cook your spider. So always make sure that your enclosure is not within full sun at any point during the day.
Is that even if people think, well, the spider's behind cork bark?
It's the same thing. Again, you think about it, your enclosure is like a mini greenhouse. So if you get full sun on it, it will cook inside that enclosure. The temperature will be much higher than what it is on the outside in the room. So always make sure that your enclosure is not within full sun. Doesn't matter what you keep your spider in, whether it's a plastic tub, a glass enclosure, whatever. Do not put it in full sun. It's a very bad idea, and it's very poor husbandry. So anyone doing that, slap on the wrist. It's very bad. Right then. So while we've had this really hot weather, that being said, there is nothing that your spider cannot deal with in terms of a rising heat. Our room in here, because our aircon is down at the moment, we're waiting for it to be repaired. When our aircon is in, it'll be fine. With our room temperature, we've got a heater in here which is working on a thermostat. There's a plant down there, love. it's working on a thermostat. So, because we've got humid enclosures as well, we find with the oil-filled radiator, it gets very humid in here, and the heat gets very, very warm. We've had it up at 90 degrees in here. Our spiders can cope with 90 degrees without any problems at all. Really, really easy. They deal with it no problem. What they don't like is oppressive humidity, you know, and a real spike in it. So as long as these things are gradually going up and gradually going down, it shouldn't be a problem. You should be fine. Don't end up spraying your enclosures because you think you're cooling them down. You are just making matters worse.
Spikes the temperature.
Yeah, spikes everything. So don't do it. Very, very important. Right. Let's try and have a look at this beautiful, beautiful female. And hopefully, what we should see now, she has been in this box now for what, 20 minutes maybe, while we caught up them babies. Let's see how her disposition has changed. Now that she's out in the box, you saw when she was behind her bark, she was quite defensive, very protective of her babies and protective of her nest. So we saw her on her back, odd little strike, still a bit half-hearted. It wasn't a full-on attack, but half-hearted. Now she's been in here, she's had a little bit of time to calm down. We're now going to take it out and we're going to get her to walk out on this bit of wood. And we are going to see what kind of reaction we get from her. Is she going to remain defensive, or is she going to be chillaxed? Let's have a look. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to make contact with her here. Look at that. Got to move sideways. Once she feels that piece of wood, she'll move more happily. You notice now, we are not getting any defensive behaviour here. A little bit of fang motion there. We're going to get her to come up here now. Now look at that. An absolutely, totally different spider from the one that we saw 20 minutes ago. Now this, in a way, is an absolutely awesome way of seeing the difference. I'm just taking my thumbnail now, because she is absolutely stunning. Right, we often get asked when we remove the slings and when we remove egg sacs, isn't this upsetting for our spider? Because, you know, she's a mum and she's got these babies and we've now just ripped them all away. Well, they're not like human mums and get all upset about it. Although I'm sure there's a couple of you out there who quite willingly give up your children.
David.
Oh, I think some people do, won't they? You know what I mean? But yeah, so these don't act like humans. They have a totally different response.
They don't have a brain for a start, do they?
Well, these run on instinct alone. So what we had earlier on, her instinct was to actually protect her spiderlings. Here we go, just tip that up so you can have a little bit better look. So you're not shadowing her.
Show her abdomen.
Yeah. So we run on totally on instinct with our spiders. So now that the actual slings have gone away, she knows they're no longer there. She's now on a piece of bark. We've just took her out of her tub. We've moved her on her bit of bark. And look at the total difference in reaction. She has forgotten all about them slings already. They're gone. It's finished. Over with. She is now probably, her mind will probably be on
food and water,
finding somewhere to hide and food and water. And quite often what happens is when we put them back in the enclosure, they will go back behind their cork bark, and then as soon as they feel like it's quiet, normally give them 15-20 minutes, it's nice peace and quiet, they will then come out, have a drink. And quite often or not, if we offer them food then, they will take that food straight away. Now you can see here that this is only a young female. She can get a third bigger than this easily. I mean, she is probably, leg span, she is probably about 4.5, just touching 5 inches. We've had them up at sort of 6+ inches before, much bigger than this, much heavier set than this. She is a very slight young female. And the only reason that we bred her was because she was on that cusp of being ready. She was mature enough, but she didn't have size. And it's because we had a male become available. And it was like, well, we might as well give him a go and see what happens. And as it happens, she's produced a lovely sack of young babies, 48 babies there. They will be available at the next show. And also online, we can, anyone who wants spiders from us, if you message us on Facebook, we can send a list to you of what we have available. And hopefully now, this will be the start of getting our new spiders up and running. We want to get back into the breeding like we were in the old place. We used to breed an awful lot. We've not bred much for the past 18 months or more. So this is the first one in our new room. And we also have some regalis on the way as well. So we will do a video covering them in a couple of weeks. But I think you'll agree, this is a beautiful spider. And as we were saying in the beginning about being a good intermediate to beginner arboreal spider, you saw how easy it was for us to move her out of the box, catch her out of the catch cup. You know, it was really, really quite simple stuff. So what we're going to do now is we are going to try and put her back in. Susan's gone on lockdown. Right. So what we're going to do, nice and easy, she's on our bit of wood. Get our paintbrush. We're going to put our bit of wood up to our branch. You come around this way. And then we can see if we can't just get her to walk in. So all we're going to do, we're just going to touch her leg like that. So now we've touched her, we've made contact, we're going to go to the other leg. I'm going to give her bum a tickle. See how she's still hunkered down, there you go. Now she's opening up. So we now know that she wants to move. We don't want to go sideways, so all we're going to do is use the full brush. We're going to come across. There we go. I'm going to get her to walk over. Find her water bowl. There we go. And she's in. So that was nice and easy, nice and simple. So as long as you take your time and you're nice and calm, there's no reason why you can't get your spider back in without any problems.
Will there be pheromones or things that make her know that that's safe territory?
Yep, she will pick up on pieces of her own web and things like that in this enclosure. So she'll know it's her own place. And what we'll do now, this is one of the reasons why we've not done anything with this enclosure now. We've just left it. We'll just let her go in there, settle down. We'll get the lid back on, get the backing board back on. And then we will just give her time now to settle in and relax. And then we will give her a feed. Always best when they're like this to just give them a little bit of time, let them settle down and then feed them. Don't be in any rush to feed them. You know, it wouldn't matter if we don't come back until tomorrow. Feed her tomorrow. You know, give her water now, but feeding, we can wait. All right, that is her in and done. Now, hopefully, we've shown there, it was really interesting to see the two forms of behaviour. From that defensive behaviour when we took her out of the bark to the calm and sort of calm behaviour when we moved her back out of the box. And hopefully that will answer some of the questions that, you know, you guys send us about, you know, that you're worried that our female spiders are under some kind of duress because we've taken these babies away. And I always say to you, you know, once they've had that break, you take them away and there's that little bit of time, they forget about them. They don't sort of wander around looking for them or doing anything. They completely forget about them because these guys are running on pure instinct. And all she will look for now is somewhere to hide. As soon as she feels relaxed, she will come out and possibly the first thing she'll want to do is get a drink. And then she'll have a drink. So we make sure her water bowl is full. We'll put her back on the shelf now. And yeah, she'll be back to normal in no time at all, behaving just like she did before she had the sack. So, nice, easy spider to have a go at. Right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. We had a lot of fun trying to catch them and chase them around and doing bits and pieces. And I say 48, that's not a bad sack for a very young female spider. Very pleased with that, really pleased. Right then, I hope you enjoyed that. And don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. Wait, up here.
Pink Crocs.